All right, let's dive into Bliss, the first book in the Bliss series by Fiona Zedde.
Okay.
Now, from what I've seen so far, this one's a pretty interesting blend of romance, self-discovery, and
Yeah.
a really vivid Jamaican setting. I'm already picturing myself on vacation.
Yeah, that's the beauty of Zeddy's writing. You really do feel transported to Jamaica,
Yeah.
but there's more to it than just, pretty beaches.
It's really intriguing how Zedde uses the setting to mirror what's going on with the main character.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about Bliss Sinclair. I found it interesting that, well, she's not exactly living up to her name at the beginning. She's kind of stuck in this boring routine. And then we meet Regina,
Yeah.
a writer who really shakes things up for her.
Right. Regina's definitely a catalyst.
Yeah.
She shows Bliss this whole world of, like, really intense experiences, but things get toxic pretty quickly.
Ah.
And that's what ends up sending Bliss to Jamaica.
Okay, so Jamaica. It's not just some random vacation spot, right? It's where she was born.
A place full of personal history and really vibrant culture. But you mentioned something about a dual nature.
Exactly. Zedde portrays Jamaica as both this paradise and this, well, kind of dangerous place at the same time, and that sort of mirrors Bliss's own struggles.
Oh, interesting.
So on the one hand, you've got these lush landscapes and the warmth of the people, this vibrant culture.
Yeah.
But there's also this undercurrent of danger, all these societal issues
Right.
that Bliss can't really ignore.
So it's like the setting itself becomes another character in a way.
Exactly.
Reflecting her emotional ups and downs.
Uh-huh.
And it sounds like readers are loving Bliss, too. We've got some great reviews to dig into.
Yeah.
The book has a 4.5-star rating on Amazon with almost 200 reviews. That's really impressive.
It is. And
Yeah.
a lot of the reviews talk about this steamy and epic romance between Bliss and Hunter.
Yeah.
But what I thought was really interesting was how Zedde builds that passion. It's not just about physical attraction.
Right.
It's all tied up in Bliss's journey of self-discovery.
That's a great point. It's not just surface level. There's something deeper going on. And, one reviewer, Keats, talked about how important it is to see intelligent Black women represented in a loving relationship. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it speaks to this larger issue of representation in books,
Yeah,
Seeing yourself reflected in a story, it can be really powerful,
for sure.
especially when it challenges stereotypes and celebrates diversity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about checking boxes. It's about authentic stories that connect with readers. Now, we should mention that Bliss is just the beginning of Bliss's story, right?
Yeah, it's the first book in the Bliss series,
Okay,
so you can follow along with her journey in the next books.
I like that.
And for anyone who wants to jump in, Bliss comes in a bunch of different formats: Kindle, audiobook, hardcover, and paperback.
Oh, and the Kindle version is only $99.9 right now.
Wow.
That's 94% off the print price, which is $16.99.
That's a great deal.
Yeah, a steal.
So as you're reading Bliss, I want you to think about something. Zedde does a really incredible job of depicting Jamaican culture,
Yeah,
but she doesn't shy away from the complexities of it.
yeah.
How do you think those issues impact Bliss, both internally and externally?
That's a great question. I wonder how she reconciles the beautiful parts of her heritage with the sometimes harsh realities. I'm ready to grab a copy and find out.
Well, that's what a good book does, right? Makes you want to know more.
Exactly. I have a feeling we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much to explore with Bliss, the romance, the culture, her personal growth.
Right.
But we'll have to wait for part 2. So stay tuned because this deep dive is just getting started.
Welcome back. So are you ready to dig into some of the stuff we talked about earlier, like the social and cultural stuff?
Yeah, for sure. What about Bliss's family in Jamaica? We know she didn't grow up with them.
Right.
What's it like for her to reconnect with them, like with those roots?
It's a huge part of her journey. Think about it. You've lived your whole life feeling kind of lost.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, boom,
Yeah.
you're surrounded by family you never knew. It fills this gap she didn't even know was there.
I can see that. Family history has always fascinated me, those connections that go way back.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Bliss finally feels like she belongs.
Mm-hmm. Zed definitely explores that.
Yeah.
Like meeting her relatives gives Bliss this real connection to where she comes from, a better understanding of her heritage, but it also exposes her to the realities of Jamaican society,
Right, the whole paradise and peril thing. So it's not all happy reunions and sunshine.
Right.
What are some of the darker parts of Jamaica that Zed explores?
One of the biggest is homophobia.
Oh, wow.
Bliss has to confront her own fears, but also, actual threats.
That's intense. Makes the story more real, though, because it's something that actually happens.
Exactly. And it adds another layer to Bliss's self-discovery. She's not figuring things out in a bubble. She's dealing with all this complex stuff, real problems.
Yeah.
It makes her growth that much more powerful, you know?
Yeah, I get it. It makes me think about how Bliss balances all those contradictions.
Right.
How she finds her own truth when society expects something different. It's got to be tough.
And that's where Hunter comes in.
Oh, yeah, the romance.
This is where things heat up.
Mhm.
Readers love their chemistry, but it goes beyond just physical attraction.
Okay, so what makes their connection so special? People are calling it epic, so it's got to be more than just looks.
It is. Hunter really sees Bliss for who she is, and he pushes her to embrace that.
Yeah.
He's like this source of strength and acceptance, which is super important considering all the pressure she's facing.
So their love is like a safe space.
Yeah,
A place where she can just be herself.
exactly. And it all goes back to self-discovery.
Okay.
Hunter doesn't try to change her. He helps her let go of all the self-doubt and expectations, and she becomes the confident woman she's supposed to be.
It's empowering. It fuels her growth instead of holding her back.
Exactly. And as readers, we get to watch that happen.
Right, right.
We're not just watching from the sidelines. We're right there with her. We celebrate her wins and feel her struggles.
And that's what makes us connect with the character.
Exactly.
I'm already feeling it just talking about it. You know, we mentioned how Zedde's writing really makes this book special.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk more about her style, what sets it apart?
She's amazing at painting these really vivid pictures with her words. It's like you can taste the food, feel the sun, hear the music.
Wow.
You're totally immersed,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. One reviewer mentioned how beautifully she captures Jamaica. It's not just describing the scenery, it's like she gets the soul of the place, the energy.
Exactly. That's what makes it real, more than just a setting. It becomes part of the story. You know, it shapes the characters and their journey.
It's like Jamaica is another character,
Mhm.
influencing everything that happens.
Right.
It makes me think about how our environment can change how we grow as people. Sometimes you just need a change of scenery to really find yourself.
That's a really good point. And it brings up the question of what bliss actually is. Is it finding this perfect place, or is it creating that feeling inside, that peace and sense of belonging?
Those are great questions. Beyond the romance and the setting, what are some of the main takeaways about self-discovery? Like, what can we learn from Bliss's journey?
Well, one thing we learn is that self-discovery isn't straightforward.
Right.
It's messy, unpredictable, and you often have to face some tough truths about yourself and the world.
That's true. It's not about reaching some perfect endpoint.
Right.
It's about constantly changing and growing with every experience. And sometimes those experiences really challenge what we believe.
Exactly. And Bliss doesn't shy away from that. Zedde shows us that growth often means questioning those beliefs, even when it's uncomfortable.
So it's about getting out of your comfort zone, being vulnerable, and deciding who you are on your own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that goes beyond the book. It's something we all deal with.
Yeah, it's a universal truth.
Right.
And Zedde explores it really well. She doesn't give easy answers. Instead, she invites us along for the ride with Bliss, to feel her struggles and triumphs, and to figure out what self-discovery and bliss really mean to us.
It's like she gives us the map, but we get to choose the path.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it so powerful. It's not just a story. It makes you think and grow.
Mm-hmm. It's an invitation to reflect.
Yeah. Now, we've talked a lot about the serious stuff and how bliss makes you feel.
Right.
But for someone who just wants a good escape, why is this book so enjoyable? What makes it a page-turner?
Well, Zedde is great with pacing and suspense. Just when you think you've got it figured out, bam,
Yeah.
she throws in a twist or something that keeps you guessing. Plus, the romance is hot. She writes those scenes with so much passion, you can't help but get swept up in it.
So it works on different levels.
Mhm.
You get the thought-provoking stuff, the deep characters, and just a well-written story that keeps you hooked.
Exactly. It's not easy to find a book that's both smart and entertaining.
And that's what we're all about here at the Deep Dive. Okay, we've covered a lot with Bliss, but there's still more to uncover. In part 3, we're going to look at some of the specifics that readers loved, like those vivid descriptions and the nuances of the love story.
And we'll also look at some of the criticisms.
Okay.
You know, hear different perspectives. Even the best books can spark debate.
Exactly, and we want you to join in that conversation. That's what makes literature so cool, you know?
Yeah.
Different people can see different things and have meaningful conversations about it.
Exactly.
So until next time, keep reading and thinking.
All right, back for the final part of our deep dive into Bliss. I gotta say, this conversation has me wanting to experience those descriptions of Jamaica myself.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Hearing about it is one thing, but Zeddy's writing really puts you right there.
Hmm.
It's like you can practically smell the spices and feel that Caribbean heat.
And how does that setting, that whole vibe, play into the romance between Bliss and Hunter? Oh, it totally enhances it. Their relationship unfolds against this backdrop of paradise, you know. It adds to the escapism and the intensity.
Uh-huh.
Think about it. Stolen kisses by a waterfall, intimate moments on a moonlit beach. The setting almost becomes a character itself.
Wow, it sounds so romantic. But we know Bliss isn't all about lighthearted romance.
Right.
Zeddy tackles some tougher parts of Jamaican society, too. We
Hmm.
talked about homophobia, but are there other challenges Bliss faces?
Yeah, Zeddy touches on the economic disparities and social inequalities in Jamaica.
Okay.
Bliss comes from a more privileged background, so she's forced to confront these realities
Yeah.
and grapple with her own place in a society with such big divisions.
It adds another layer to her journey. It's not just about self-discovery and love. It's about understanding her place in the bigger picture.
Right. And it makes her interactions with the local community more meaningful. She's not just a tourist. She's really engaging with the people and culture, learning from them and challenging her own ideas.
So Zeddy's pushing readers to look beyond the surface, to see the complexities of a culture that's often oversimplified.
Exactly.
It's about seeing Jamaica for what it really is, both the good and the bad.
And that's what makes the book so good, so enriching. It's not just an escape. It's a chance to learn and grow, to understand a culture that's both familiar and new.
Now, we mentioned some criticisms of the book earlier. We
Yeah.
all connect with stories differently. Were there any common critiques that popped up in the reviews?
Some readers thought the pacing was off.
Hmm,
Like some parts felt rushed and others dragged on. It seemed like they wanted a more consistent flow to the story.
makes sense. Pacing is subjective.
Yeah.
What works for one person might not work for another. Do you think Bliss is a good fit for people who like fast-paced books?
It depends. If they want a super quick, action-packed read, maybe not. But if they're into character-driven stories that take their time, then yeah, they might really love it.
So it's all about finding the right book for your mood. Sometimes a slower story can be just as good. It lets you take in the details and connect with the characters more deeply.
Exactly. Speaking of details, what did you think of Zeddy's writing style?
Yeah.
We talked about the imagery, but what else stood out to you?
The dialogue was really impressive. It felt so real and natural. You could hear the characters' voices, their accents, and how they interacted with each other.
Zeddy's great at that.
Yeah.
Creating believable characters with unique voices. She brings them to life through their words and actions.
I also liked how she used Jamaican folklore and mythology in the story.
Oh, yeah.
It added this magical element, made the setting even richer.
It's those little things that make the book so immersive. Zedde blends reality and fantasy so well. It creates this world that feels both familiar and magical.
And that's what makes Bliss so captivating. It's an escape, an education, and an emotional roller coaster all in one.
Exactly. It's got it all.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this? What's that nugget of wisdom you'd like them to hold on to?
I think it's the idea that even a simple romance novel can have hidden depths. Bliss encourages us to look closer, to explore the complexities of culture and identity, and the search for happiness. It reminds us to approach our own journeys with open minds and hearts.
Well said. That's a perfect way to end this deep dive into Bliss. This has been a great conversation, and I'm even more excited to read it now.
Me too. I hope this inspires everyone listening to check out Zedde's work and find their own meaning of bliss.
Until next time, happy reading, everyone.